Welcome to famed Knoxville Raceway, the sprint car capital of the world. It's known for its rich heritage when it comes to sprint car racing and, of course, dirt competition. Well, speaking of dirt, we're going to bring the greatest show on dirt, two-wheel style, here to this famed racetrack. It's great side-by-side racing anytime you bring out the AMA Pro Flat Track Grand National Series. A year ago, the finish was a dead heat. Hold on, it's all next. Welcome to Knoxville, Iowa, and famed Knoxville Raceway for the E3 Sparkplugs AMA Pro Flat Track Nationals presented by Speedco. Ken Stout and Chris Carr here to call the action for you at this famed racetrack. They competed here back in 1995 and 96, then took a 15-year hiatus. They came back in 2011, and Chris, you were part of that field.
You know, such rich racing history here at the Knoxville Half-Mile. Riders out there tonight are certainly going to want to put their name in the history books as well. Two-wheel action hasn't happened here a lot in Knoxville. Hopefully this is the beginning of a really, really long tradition for flat track racing. And here we go to Kenny Sargent.
Knoxville Raceway, sprint car capital of the world. And yes, I tend to agree with that, but tonight it's about two wheels. It's the second year in a row they've run here at Knoxville, and that's after a 15-year hiatus. The riders, they're stoked to be back. In fact, I caught up with a number of them earlier to talk about the rich history of running at Knoxville.
Knoxville, it's got a big history, you know. Sprint car racing's pretty cool, and you know, this is the mecca of sprint car racing.
Knoxville's a pretty special place, obviously, and for us, it's not quite there yet with like Indy and stuff like that. But as far as the sprint car world, it's obviously the place to be, and it's a cool place to come. It's just a really nice facility and a nice track.
Well, this is the biggest sprint car race in the world during the Knoxville Nationals in August. I came here to do a small exhibition race in front of the fans, and this place is happening during that time. So to come here during, you know, our time and race in front of the same quality of fan base, it's really big for our sport.
Yeah, I mean, every joint around here, we had breakfast. There's a little shop right outside here and had a bunch of sprint cars on the wall sideways. So it's pretty cool to pull in here and just knowing that there's been a lot of famous guys that have raced here and cut their teeth here, and just the crowd that they get in general. I can appreciate both. I mean, I hope we just keep building on it more and more. I'd love to come here and do something during the time that the Knoxville Nationals are going on. That'd be huge. That would really get us in front of a great stage, you know, to put our show on. So see history in the making for sure.
This Knoxville track's a lot of history here. You know, we used to run the bikes here a lot more often. They've got the Sprint Car Hall of Fame, you know, right over top of us here coming out of turn 2. And I've actually walked through it, and it's a really cool place to come to for us. So glad to be back here again, and just hoping to get a good result on the Ducati.
If you're a dirt track fan, you know about the history and, of course, the prestige here at Knoxville Raceway. But if you're a driver or a rider, you really appreciate the surface. In fact, it's made of what they call a black dirt gumbo, which, of course, you can only get in Illinois or Iowa, which, of course, is good for growing corn. Race director Steve Moorhead, this is a track that you really got to keep an eye on the preparation, right?
Well, you sure do. It's nothing like a sprint car race. So they come out here early in the week, they grade it perfectly smooth, then they come out and run the sheep's foot across it, or basically like plugging your yard. So them little holes that they put in the racetrack actually suck up the moisture, and that's the way that they penetrate the water into the racing surface.
One thing that I enjoy about the track prep is the riders will either love it or they'll hate it. There's really no in-between, is there?
Well, there's really not. I mean, you race in different parts of the United States, and they have different type of surfaces, the red clay, the black gumbo, and you just try to make it to where the track comes in at the same time. One end is baked in the sun, the other end's in the shade, so you keep spot watering. So when it comes race time, the track's equal and it's the same, to where we don't have a slick spot, a tacky spot, a sandy, dirty spot. So it's, you know, it all has to come together in a big package.
Well, guys, Steve is the most beloved or hated person on the track, depending on, well, which rider. Fellas?
Thanks a lot. Good job there, Kenny. And, of course, this black gumbo will present these guys with some grip. Here's a look at what we're going to see tonight.
3 expert heat races. Top 4 go to the final, but more importantly, the top 2 go to the Dash for Cash.
And, of course, the Dash for Cash would lead you to believe just cash, but much more than that.
Points. And for Jake Johnson, Jared Mees, and Sammy Halbert, every point counts as you're racing for a championship. as the 91 of Mikey Martin, the rookie on the Bonneville Performance Triumph, out front early in the heat race. Little tiny bobble leaves the door just open enough for our defending champion, Jake Johnson. It looks like these guys are glued down around the bottom of the racetrack. As you see the Ducati there of the 17 of Wiles getting just a little wide. Unlike the modifieds that we saw here recently, the bottom part of this racetrack is the fast line. You get 4 or 5 feet too wide, you're going to lose grip and you're going to lose track position.
Well, as you can see, because this track is so wide, they hardly ever get a chance to really go straight. I mean, they arc it out down by the center of the straightaway and then immediately right back into the next side. And, of course, if you take a look at this track, you'll find out that the turns measure nearly the same distance as the straightaway. They're only 10 feet shorter, so these are some long arcing turns. And the fact that it's a half mile, I think, has to play right into the hands of the Harleys.
It certainly does. The premium is on handling, and there's never been a better handling dirt track motorcycle than the XR 750. As Jake Johnson puts it to him in Heat 1 on his Harley.
There you go. So there's the highlights from heat race number 1. Robinson and Martin round out your top 3. And, of course, the top 4 go right into the main event. Let's go to heat race number 2 and pick up the action here.
The 9 of Mees, one of our championship contenders down on the inside, gets a good start with the 20 of Matt Whiteman on a Kawasaki, as well as Brian Smith, who I believe is racing
he ran over his foot.
Looks like it says, hey, get out of my way, Sean Bear. That was Whiteman putting a little rub up on the inside. Not uncommon on a track like this. You know, having raced here a year ago, these turns last forever. I mean, it seems like there is no straightaway on this racetrack. As Mees has a good handle on this one out front.
Yeah, we talked about it in the tease. It was just 1 year ago. There was Jake Johnson and Jared Mees who ended up basically in a tie. I mean, the transponder numbers recorded it as a tie in the main event. That's how close the racing action gets here, and it's what we're anticipating in our main event as we take a look at the top 4 that transferred from heat race number 2. Almost looks like Evel Knievel there.
Jared Mees, Doug Lawrence, Brian Smith, who's on a Harley-Davidson this week. Not the typical Kawasaki that we've seen him on this year. He's one of the few riders saving the Kawasaki's for the miles and running the Harleys on the half miles.
Weidman also getting in out of heat race number 2, your top 4 that transfer, and we'll show you heat race number 3.
The number 12 of Brad Baker up the inside. Looks like Mattia, the 29 out there from nearby Minnesota. This is a fairly close home race for him. And 7 of Sammy Halbert, and up the inside, moving into 3rd now, the 2 of Kenny Coolbeth. Factory rider in his 2nd race back, runs up, takes 2nd over from Sammy Halbert. I think he likes this racetrack. Having a broken leg earlier in the season, specifically left one. This type of track being smooth and fast. Wow, Coolbeth marching to the front. He went from like 5th or 6th to the front in 10 laps.
But typically you see a pass going into the turn, but as you can see here, the turns are so long that they are literally passing in the turn. So one going in and then another pass mid-turn off. It is amazing how close these guys get.
You know, I haven't seen Coolbeth ride this aggressive. He's really been putting it up the inside of Baker there as they exchange the lead several times. As Coolbeth starts to stretch out to win this one. This track looks ultra fast. And when they stay on that rubber, they're locked down pretty hard. They're moving forward.
Halbert and Evan Bear will also transfer in there. We'll be right back with more. Welcome back to the E3 Spark Plugs AMA Pro Flat Track Nationals here with the Grand National Championship Series. This is the semifinal number 1. Before we start them, we're going to show you highlights from our Dash for Cash, which is oh so important in the run for the championship.
We saw earlier one of the contenders, Sammy Halbert, did not make it into the dash. Definite advantage for the 9 and the 1. Chasing the championship, Mees and Johnson side by side through turns 1 and 2 with the number 2 of Kenny Coolbeth up the inside. 4 laps, things happen in a hurry. The winner gets 5 points. They're trying to get a run on each other here. Johnson tries to make a move up the inside, but Mees is just strong enough. And Coolbeth smokes it around the outside of Johnson to take the position with 1 lap to go. This is a definite advantage for Mees. Being able to put 2 points on Johnson will be very, very important as these points add up toward the end of the season. Coolbeth giving it everything he has through turns 3 and 4, coming to the stripe. Coolbeth with a good run up the inside. Comes up just short, and wow, Johnson might have snuck back by on the outside. Not sure. That was a very close, tight one there for the second position.
And that's exactly what we have to look forward to in our main event. But first, we have to fill that field out, which means we're going to take the top 3 out of the 2 semifinals that are coming up now. Semifinal number 1.
We see lined up on the outside Henry Wiles on the Ducati, 10Z of Briar Bauman on a Suzuki this week. Corey Crawford on the 80, 32 of Sean Bear, and the 27 of Robbie Pearson, who's had one of his better years. A lot of top 10 finishes with the whole shot for the 27 of Pearson. And that's a great way to start the semi. Get out front, make them chase you. Great run off of turn 2 by 27. Robbie Pearson. He's the senior member of the FBI, also known as the Fast Boys from Illinois. He's right across the Mississippi River in Iowa tonight. He's going to do his best to just make the guys in this semifinal chase him down. Got a good start to that one.
The 17 of Henry Wiles currently in third in that final transfer spot. That is a Ducati, and they talk about that bike having some good power, just needs some grip. So they might be able to get a little bit of grip here and then be able to flex a little bit of muscle. By the way, I love the start by Pearson, who immediately ran his competitor a bit high. Now take a look at the battle here as it looks like Wiles is definitely under attack.
Under attack from Briar Bauman, the rookie. First race on this particular motorcycle, trying to sneak it up the inside underneath, coming off the corners, gets a run, and that 17-year-old rookie runs it in, gets underneath the rubber, breaks both tires loose, and pretty much moves Wiles out of the way, gets hooked up again, and runs into the back of Crawford.
Yeah, tire smoke right there. Crawford actually took advantage of all of that, picks up 2 positions in the process, but now is going to have to deal with Bauman again.
Bauman lined up a good drive there. He's certainly much more comfortable with the Suzuki than he was on the Kawasaki earlier this year. This bike built by Ronnie Brown, a longtime Grand National tuner, former factory Suzuki tuner. So moving the rookie to the front in this semi, that's a good run for him. His best on the Twins this year.
You see a little deeper in the pack, of course, everybody out of the transfer positions here, but racing just as hard as they put on a show here at Knoxville in front of the fans.
That's a pretty good battle for 5th or 6th there. A lot of the field filled local guys from the South Dakota, Minnesota area. This is one of the races that they've looked forward to coming to. It's closest to their home as Pearson is slowly stretching out the lead.
Great battle here once again, a little deeper in the pack, and they are absolutely going after it.
Great racing throughout the Knoxville Raceway field here in this semifinal. As we see riders in multiple lines, there are 3 abreast going into turn 3 as Pearson stretches out. And I think I just heard a little tire squeal there from the 32 of Sean Bear. It gives you an idea that this track is putting
there's some grip.
allowing there to put the power to the ground, man. It's not often you hear that on the dirt, and that's music to these guys' ears.
Well, this is amazing. I mean, none of these are for transfer spots, but look at this group of 4 just absolutely going after it.
You know, and that's a testament to the Knoxville Raceway for preparing a racetrack for 2 wheels after so many years of preparing a track primarily for 4. It does take a little bit of a different touch and preparation to make these tracks hard and fast for the 2-wheel crowd.
They definitely know their magic here with the black gumbo here at Knoxville. Of course, the white flag comes out. One more lap to stay clean, and the top 3 go into the main event. But look at this battle for second that has all of a sudden developed here.
Yeah, Bauman has run down Sean Bear. I don't think it's overly necessary to make this pass for Bauman, but he's a racer. He wants to beat the guy in front of him. As Robbie Pearson, the somewhat local guy from Illinois, just across the Mississippi River, brings home the win in semifinal number 1.
And I think you are correct. I heard some more tires squeal, that time out of Robert Pearson. So excellent job there. He picks up the win. And semifinal number 1, Bear and Bauman all go to the main event. As you take a look at your E3 Spark Plugs results.
Robbie, that wasn't easy. Now, of course, it wasn't a heat win, but you're in the race. Did the track come to you pretty quick? When did you start to figure it out?
Yeah, I mean, the motorcycle's been pretty good all day, and like I was saying, I struggle with my start in the heat race, and there's so many guys going fast out here, you can't do that. So I'm going to try to get that figured out, and the Kawasaki's running fast enough that if I get off the corner, I can make passes. That's what I'm going to have to do again, and it seems like this is every week, and I'm putting myself in those positions, but eventually I'm going to get on the front row, and I think I could do some damage. So I got to thank Skip Eakin. He's got a good Kawasaki, and I think we could do some work tonight.
3 more spots and our A main will be complete. We'll fill that out when we come back with our second semifinal. You're watching the E3 Spark Plugs AMA Pro Flat Track Nationals presented by Speedco here at Knoxville Raceway. As we line up our second semifinal. And once again, we will fill out the rest of our national main event. The final 3 spots here are up for grabs.
29 of Jake Mattia on the inside. Lined up the racing lady from Clio, Michigan, Nicole Cheza. Jeffrey Carver Jr., Cale Kolkman. Corey Texter on the outside.
Cheza, part of a big accident that happened at the Indy Mile just 1 event ago, and you talk about getting a good start, and that's how quickly it can go wrong if you spin the tire.
And Corey Texter coming from the outside keeps his momentum going. Good drive off turn 2. The older brother of Shayna Texter looking for a spot in tonight's Grand National Final. Don't believe he's made one yet this year. Certainly has a good start on that tonight.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about Shayna a little bit later on. We see the pro singles, of course, picking up her first win here a year ago. But let's focus on this semifinal because it's about to get hot here as we take a look at this battle. Nicole Cheza was talking about her a little bit ago and a scary incident that involved a couple of riders at Indy, but both ending up okay for the most part.
Texter leading out front, protecting the bottom. Looks like he's having a little trouble accelerating off the corners. Bike appears to be a little soft, not quite getting the drive off the corner as Nicole Cheza gets a run up the inside into turn 3, says, "Excuse me, I want to lead this semifinal. I want to go to the main event."
I'm not real sure she said excuse me.
Yeah, I think she might have went in there a little ruder than
yeah, she's
ruder
aggressive,
than that,
man. You don't get away with too much stuff being nice out here, that's for sure. And she's a tough competitor. I mean, no doubt about it.
And she likes this racetrack. She had a career best finish of 7th last year here at Knoxville Raceway. This is the type of track that she shines on. And this is a perfect opportunity to show her competitors her ponytail sticking out of the back of her helmet.
And Jake Matei is the first one to see it as she leads the group. He is in 2nd place right now, part of that transfer group, and then followed by the 23. The 23 is Jeffrey Carver Jr.
And Jeffrey has had a great season so far. Visited the podium for the first time as we're halfway through this 8-lap semifinal. Finishing 3rd in Hagerstown, Maryland back in July for his career best finish in his 2nd year on the circuit. Wanted to chase down Jake and Nicole and get toward the front.
And we spoke about this a little bit before the race started. The difference between the pro singles and the twins and how much more physical you need to be to handle one of these twins.
Well, the twin bikes weigh about 325 pounds. The singles bikes weigh about 225 pounds. So Nicole's doing a great job wrestling in her XR 750 around up front. Makes it a little easier as smooth as this racetrack is. She tends to struggle on tracks that are a little rougher, a little bit more physically demanding, but she's certainly got a handle on Knoxville Raceway tonight.
Battle for 5th here between Anderson and Kolkman. Of course, neither one of these positions good enough to transfer in, but nonetheless putting on a great battle, and man, that was about as close as you can get right there and not create tire smoke.
Yeah, hopefully they can push each other toward the front. Looks like they've got a little ways to go to catch Carver, but maybe next time they're one step closer when they return here in 2013.
Cheza just driving away from the field now. That bike is hooked up for sure. She's having a good run here in this semifinal.
Nice and smooth. She finished 7th here last year, and we're seeing that form again tonight. I suspect that she's going to want to move forward and improve on her 7th place finish from a year ago. She's certainly headed in the right direction as she appears to have this semifinal in hand.
The top 3 checking out as they drive right in front of the suites they're located by the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame, just outside of turn number 2. And Nicole, bringing it out of turn number 4, is going to win the 2nd semifinal. Congratulations to her.
Good job for the racing lady from Clio, Michigan. Excellent performance in the semi. I'm sure she's going to want to come from that 3rd row and show some more boys her ponytail before the night's up.
Right, I guarantee you, man. She'll need a good start. We'll find out how she does with that when we come back for our main event. Here's a look at your E3 Spark Plug results for the semifinal number 2. We're going to get it down to Kenny Sargent to talk to Nicole Cheza. Kenny?
Nicole, where was that in the first heat race?
Like I said, I came off the line real bad in the first heat race. Made my way up to 5th, and 4th is what gets you in. So I knew what I had to do out in the semi, got a good start, picked off a couple guys, and won it. So I feel real good going into the main event, and hopefully we can put it on top.
What are you liking best about this track?
It's fast, and it's kind of like a mini Springfield Mile. You can almost draft on it, even though it's so small. And my global products, Harley-Davidson, is really working good, and I can't thank everybody enough for all their hard work and support, even through the rough year that I've had so far.
All right, we have a lot of racing action to go here. Of course, our 25-lap main event. But before we show you that, we'll feature some highlights from the pro singles. All right, we're back. The E3 Spark Plugs AMA Pro Flat Track Nationals presented by Speedco here at Knoxville Raceway. Time for the main event, but before we show you that, as you take a look at Jared Mees, we're going to show you highlights from our pro singles event, which has been a great story here, if for no other reason but because of one Miss Shayna Texter.
Shayna Texter winning the inaugural pro singles race here in 2011 on a racetrack. Ironically, that her grandfather, Glenn Fitzcharles, is a member of the Sprint Car Hall of Fame here in Knoxville. Quite the story for that young lady.
Absolutely. She calls him Pop Pop, and unfortunately this year, Pop Pop is not with us as he is staying home and watching over Mom, who had heart bypass surgery this week. But let's show you the highlights here from the pro singles and see how Shayna does here against the guys. A year ago, she had to work her way from the back of the pack and really scrapped hard to get that first win.
Shayna was lined up 2nd off the inside, gets into the corner on the inside in 3rd with Steven Vandeker, the 10J out front. The 94 of Jake Cunningham in 2nd. Shayna has moved by Cunningham now and set sights on Vandeker in her battle for 1st. Runs it up the inside, takes the point, and says, "I'm not the only lady with a ponytail out the back of my helmet that can win in Knoxville." And she's going to make it tough on these kids again for the 2nd year in a row.
Yeah, absolutely. And keep in mind, this battle for the championship, in fact, I believe it's the top 5 are separated by some 12 points. So every position is critical. Vandeker certainly with a shot at that championship here in 2012 as the top 5 are grouped up, but really the battle was for 2nd place.
Yeah, we saw Vandeker kind of squat through the middle of the corner, upset the chassis, kills his drive. Cunningham gets a good run off turn 2. But there's no catching Shayna Texter. She just slowly stretching the lead lap after lap after lap. A year ago, she was in a knockdown, drag-out battle with Briar Bauman, who we saw earlier, put it into the Grand National Twins main event. As Vandeker fights for 3rd position here. Shayna's got a little better tonight. She had to pass a few people, but she's not under that constant pressure as she was a year ago.
And one thing I've noticed here, you can see everybody making their adjustments to the bike as it starts to slip a little bit or squat a little bit, as you call it. And as you take a look at her, she is smooth as silk.
Smooth as butter around this racetrack. The track is prepped as about as immaculate as a racetrack can be for this type of surface. that plays right into Shayna's hands. She certainly has an advantage in the power-to-weight ratio, and when she puts every bit of that power to the ground, she's going to go forward and say bye-bye, and that's what she's done tonight.
Great job here on the brand new Honda. She actually brought the one out that she won on earlier in the year and here a year ago, but blew fifth gear out of that one. She comes out here with the brand new 2012 version of that Honda and puts another win up on the board. So the team giving her a great bike as they thrashed on that one and prepped it. She took it right to the winner's circle.
It was great to see her older brother, Corey, on the back of the motorcycle for the victory lap.
Results there from E3 Spark Plugs.
Great job, everybody, in this race. Congratulations to Shayna once more.
Well, there is a group standing on the starting line as they line up our experts here. And before we get them started, we're going to check in with Kenny Sargent. Once again, all over the stories that are taking place down trackside. Your keys, Kenny.
Guys, a couple of keys to the race. One is this guy behind me, Jared Mees, your points leader. He has found a place on this track where he just might run away with this thing. And two, just before loading the bikes here on the grid, most of your front runners had the bikes underneath the tent with tire warmers. It is pretty chilly here tonight, trying to get those tires warm before they're going to stick on the track, because that might become an issue maybe 2 or 3 laps into it, a little bit of looseness for the tail end of those bikes. Fellas?
We'll find out if all those preparations will help out here as we get things started. They're checking in with all the riders, telling them you can take your hot lap now. So they'll check it out, dial this track in, dial their bikes in, and when we come back, we'll start the 25-lap main event. This is the E3 Spark Plugs AMA Pro Flat Track Grand National Series presented by Speedco. We're at famed Knoxville Raceway. We've done a lot of racing, but we are finally up to our main event. 25 laps in distance here on the Black Gumbo. We'll find out who's got what it takes to win as we take a look at the starting lineup from Canada for row number 1. A good mix of different makes out here, and because this is a half mile, it should be a really tight race.
Well, typically a race like this would be dominated by Harley-Davidsons on the starting grid. However, we see Kawasaki, Suzuki, Triumph
lined up along with those Harleys, of course. Green flag flies, here we go.
The number 1 of Jake Johnson, ultra quick start to turn 1. And if you're going to win a championship, he's in the best place to do that now. But somebody, Jared Mees, on board with him. Great run up the inside. Right off the bat, puts himself, that's the battle for the championship right there.
Absolutely critical. By the way, if you notice that one rider that came out of row 2 up to 4th place, that was Mikey Martin. Just a spectacular start out of him on that Triumph.
We see the 2 of Kenny Coolbeth latched onto the back of Jake Johnson, getting a great run early. We saw in his heat race, he was able to make passes with ease as he gets a run up the inside of Jake off of turn 4. Now he's got his sights set on the championship point leader, Jared Mees.
This is exactly what we saw a year ago as well with those same 2, right? Jake Johnson and Jared Mees both putting on that great show. And now Kenny Coolbeth definitely finding his groove. I mean, that team is starting to mesh, and Coolbeth Jr. is aggressive here tonight. You can see he feels the confidence. Brad Baker, though, not showing him any respect.
Second-year expert Baker says, I don't care who you race for. I want to go to the front. Factory Harley or not, I'm going to the front.
And what was that quick little hand signal we just saw there out of the number 2 of Kenny Coolbeth Jr.? Matt Weidman down.
Red flag is out for Matt Weidman. Looks like outside of turn 4.
Bike stuck on his leg as well. It looks like he can't get out from underneath that, which is scary for a couple of reasons. But one, the heat. I mean, it can be burning his leg. And, of course, just as bad could be broken. But it looks like he's going to be able to get up here and stand okay. So that's great news. And that's what happened.
Got a little clip of the handlebar from Nicole Chesa, the 15 on his inside. 2 people going for the same spot. I don't know if I can put blame on Nicole or what on that one, but that's one of those unfortunate incidents that happens from time to time.
It is a game of inches for sure. We'll get them restarted when we come back. Under a caution flag, actually red flag as they line them back up. Let's show you what happened here. It only takes just a brief second, a split second, for somebody to get in trouble and slide out towards the guardrail, and that's exactly what happened here.
Two motorcycles occupying the same space. The one on the outside is going to get the bad end of the deal. Great job by Sean Bear, the 32, of avoiding the down Matt Weidman in front of him. Razor sharp reflexes by these guys to keep that from being worse than it was.
On board with Jared Mees.
I'd say those Harleys are loud, don't you? As Kenny Coolbeth runs it up the inside. Coolbeth been strong all night long, but man, wow, that was kind of hard to talk over there, wasn't it, Ken? Great onboard visuals there, and audio for that matter. That's what it sounds like from the back of an XR 750.
And you could actually hear him breathe on that throttle a little bit and then really squeeze on at the exit of the turn to get that run. Coolbeth also doing the same thing as we go a little bit deeper in the pack.
Yeah, on board with Brian Smith. This week on a Harley-Davidson, he's chosen to ride the XR 750s on half miles and Kawasaki's on the miles that we saw him run at India's. Coolbeth, nice sharp move up the inside of the 9, Jared Mees, and Brad Baker wanting to follow suit. That was a pretty aggressive move to the front. Coolbeth, we've seen that from him all night.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can tell his confidence is sky high right now. And you mentioned it before, second race back since the broken leg that he suffered back in June. The house team for Harley-Davidson and out here representing right now.
Representing well, he is. This is the type of track that Kenny Coolbeth has always shined on. When the bike is glued down and you're allowed to be very, very aggressive as he's riding, it pays lots of dividends in the lap times. This is the type of track that he's going to be hard to run down and beat tonight.
Take a look at Jake Johnson, of course, holding that number 1 plate. Actually started off a little closer to the front, fell back here just a few positions, and something he typically does not do, but now has to work his way back up in here.
Now he's going to have to contend with the 12 of Brad Baker. He's capable of winning here. He finished in a dead heat with Jared Mees a year ago. I would expect him to have the ability to move forward as this race carries on into the later laps, as we have a great battle back in the field.
It's great to watch those overheads as well, because you really get a good feel for who can drive in a little harder and who can drive out of the turn a little harder.
And the rider we haven't talked about a whole bunch tonight, Sammy Halbert, the 7, coming from the second row, currently running 4th. Didn't really expect to see him up here this far in this point of the race. Hasn't been a factor up until this point, but he's certainly doing what he needs to do to keep himself in the championship hunt.
And that is fresh off of a win. Sammy's fresh off of a win at the Indy Mile, a place where we didn't think the Harleys would be able to pull off a win against the Kawasaki's.
Certainly exceeded everybody's expectations in Indianapolis, and he might be exceeding his own expectations tonight. Finishing 3rd in his heat race, here he is running 4th in the main event from the second row.
Also, keep in mind, Sammy Halbert finished 3rd here at this race a year ago, so he definitely has the combination down as we watch the 3-time GNC champ way out front.
Kenny Coolbeth showing the boys around Knoxville Raceway. As I said before, this is his type of racetrack as the battle for second between Mees and Johnson tightens up. Johnson sticking a wheel in there going into turn 3, not quite making it stick, as we see Smith and Carver and Bauman in a battle for 7th. And also the 73, the Canadian Doug Lawrence, 2nd year in a row reaching the final here at Knoxville Raceway, and you could cover these guys with a blanket going into turn 3 battling for 2nd.
Once again, back to our leader, Kenny Coolbeth Jr., 2nd race back after an incident in June, and here's the battle for 2nd place. Jake Johnson back on his game right now for sure. Fell back a little bit, but now has closed the gap on Jared Mees and pressuring hard.
You know, this is a carbon copy of these two riders here a year ago. The only difference is that number 2 out front. He's checking out on him. but you can cover these guys with a blanket a year ago here for 25 laps as well. As we see Smith get a good run up the inside of Doug Lawrence, moves up a spot, I believe into about the 6th position. 7th position, as the Canaday onboard camera shows us.
Pulls a tear off real quick there. On board the FastHog.com Harley, typically on the Kawasaki, but has chosen to go with the Harley here on the half-mile. Oh, and way out by the guardrail.
Yeah, Briar Bauman gets up in the loose stuff next to the Armco on the outside of that front stretch. I don't think he wants to make a habit of that, but using every inch of the Knoxville Raceway to try and move forward. And Smith looks like he's moving forward. He's inching up as we see. Oh,
last year's winner has pulled off to the side. More importantly, he's in the hunt for the championship, and this could be a huge swing in the points.
Oh, that's a big blow to his championship hopes. You know, you get down to this time of the year, a lot of times it's the difference can be the wrenches being turned in the pits as much as the riders doing their jobs on the racetrack. It's an unfortunate break for Jared Mees. However, we saw last week Johnson crashing at the Indy Mile. We saw Halbert crashing at the Springfield Mile earlier in the year. I guess it was Jared Mees' turn to have one of those races where he doesn't get much in the way of points. So it looks like things are evening out for our championship contenders.
Final laps coming up. Can Kenny Coolbeth Jr. hang on for the win? Welcome back to the E3 Sparkplugs AMA Pro Flat Track Nationals presented by Speedco. The GNC Tour here at Knoxville. As you watch that battle for 4th and 5th is very close, but our leader up here on the number 2 bike, that is Kenny Coolbeth Jr., is checked out.
Checked out and running up through the field, coming across some lap traffic here with about 5 to go. This guy's been on rails since he took the lead in his heat race, and certainly here in the main event as well. Moving forward as our championship contender, Jared Mees, can do nothing but watch from the sidelines. It's going to take a big blow in the points for him tonight.
And amazing that they don't throw a caution flag to get him out of the way, and it looks like Mees might have a little bit of company there as well.
Looked like Bauman was blowing a little smoke through the overflow in his radiator as Nicole Cheza battling with Brandon Robinson for the 7th position. She's one position short of where she finished here a year ago, looking to equal last year's run. Good job for her again tonight, and a great run for Robinson. One of the better working Kawasaki's tonight, besides Pearson running up in 4th. Good run for Brandon, and there's nobody catching this guy.
Yeah, he is on rails for sure. It was a good shot as well. You could see Nicole there was so good through the center of the turn. And again, if you're just joining us, the turns here at Knoxville are massive, nearly as long as the straightaways. So this is definitely a place for a good working bike. And now looks like she might have got a good run there, but he drives it in a good bit deeper as that white flag comes out. And our leader needs to stay solid here. The only rider in the field that has been to every Knoxville event here, and that is Kenny Coolbeth Jr. And it looks like he's going to pull off the win here.
Yeah, Johnson giving a valiant effort here at the end to run him down, but coming up about a half a second short at the stripe. But great dominating performance by Kenny Coolbeth Jr. I think it's fair to say that the former champ is back, and he's a guy to contend with for the remainder of the season.
Jake Johnson gives him a nice thumbs up as he drove back by, and it's great, you know, especially after the broken leg in June. The confidence is back. The team, no doubt, is gelling once again, and he is going to be tough to deal with for the rest of the season as we take a look at the E3 Sparkplugs final results.
And got to tip the hat to Sammy Halbert for a solid 3rd. He was really a non-factor for most of the evening, and being in the right place at the right time. He and Johnson both making up significant ground on Jared Mees in the fight for the championship.
Excellent stuff, and you can see the excitement there. That has to feel good. A solid comeback out of those guys and that team.
Yeah, Mike Hacker, former national number 67, getting the piggyback ride on the way around the Knoxville Raceway on a victory lap. Well deserved for both Kenny and Mike. Mike came on board with the Factory Harley team as we take a look at the point standings. Tied for second between Halbert and Johnson, 11 back from Mees. Quite the difference from the start of the evening. Things are tightening up as things go to the end here.
Yeah, it's going to be a 3-horse battle all the way to the championship. Let's get it down to Kenny Sargent, who's with our winner.
Guys, the veteran, Kenny Coolbeth Jr. If you could ever see a smile coming out of a helmet, I think this is the guy right here. Is it redemption? What is it, man? Congratulations on this win. That was big. I know Mees had the problem. Of course, Johnson was right behind you. Another lap or two might have been right next to you, but, man, it looked like you had it out on the beeline.
Yeah, I kind of had to set the pace there in the beginning, and then my throttle started hanging up a little. My brakes started fading a little, so I kind of tamed it down. I was looking back and saw Jake. I actually thought it was Jared still behind me, but what a great effort on the Harley-Davidson Motor Company, getting the bikes ready with my injury. It's overwhelming right now.
For real, you're not feeling any effects from your leg injury?
No, not at all. You know, I've been working hard at home, and it's paying off. It's not 100% healed, but I feel great. So,
what's the motivation? You're not running for a championship. What's the motivation to come out here and run?
It's just what just happened. Wins. You know, that's all we can do. You know, is winning, and that's why I came here to do it, and that's what we did. So, really grateful that I have great people behind me, and Craig Lager builds all the engine. He's the guy behind all this. Bugner Racing with the suspension, flawless. It's just awesome. Mike Hacker tuning on it. It's great.
Guys, it's great to see the veteran, Kenny Coolbeth Jr. Victory Lane, Knoxville.
Excellent effort, man. That must feel so good to stay on top of the box after everything you've been through, and especially here at Knoxville. You can keep up with all the action at lucasoil.com. Look us up on Facebook. And, of course, feel free to hit us up on Twitter as well. It's been a wild night of racing, to say the least, here at the famed Knoxville Raceway. The show was awesome, put on by some of the most talented riders in all the land. Hope you enjoyed all the great racing action. For Kenny Sargent and Chris Carr, I'm Ken Stout. Thanks for watching the E3 Spark Plugs AMA Pro Flat Track Nationals presented by Speedco. We'll see you next time from the GNC Series. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the Brent Linger family who suffered a tragic accident.